off and start speaking.
Yeah, he is very open. I remember that night in the bar.
That's only the secret between us now.
Yes. So, okay, we're gonna start our question. So, first is this is a very important question because this thing is very famous in the Philippines right now. So, have you heard of BL or boy love drama? Is that what is that?
Yes, 1,000%, and I love it. I love every different kind of movie, and I need to actually catch up with it because some of them are in series as well. And one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite one would be Sutos. If any of the viewer knows that, that is actually one of my favorite one because there's so much ups and downs and stuff like that, but there's a lot of romance in it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you are a type of person that love to work like myself, and once you get a little bit of free time to relax, you definitely need to check it out. And there's actually a lot of them on Netflix as well. So anyone,
Oh.
yeah, that's how I actually got it. Which it's kind of sad because it's very well known in Southeast Asia, going to different
Mm.
places like the Philippines, but then it doesn't come as far enough to Europe. And I would love for that to come to actually the European market because it's such it doesn't actually just tell about the culture, but it tells about the history, the romance, and the struggle that
Mm.
people might have to overcome throughout various obstacles in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. I think I don't really know that there's actually Thai dramas in Netflix right now because I remember I was asking my friend, is there one in Netflix, and he said like I'm not too sure. But now you said it, I might search for it. Yeah.
Search for it. There's actually so many.
So would you highly recommend them to watch it? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the what I love about the way, especially with how Philippines and Thailand interact, is a lot of culture sharing, especially in the
Mm.
media industries as well. So you want to get to know about the Thai cultures and stuff like that. There's a lot of great movies that emphasize it. Some of them might just be comedy, so don't get into that too much. But overall, it does give a highlight as to what's the climate in Thailand is, and
Mhm.
also the way Thai people are as well at
Mm.
times. And that's not I'm not just talking about the BL movie, but the movie and the series in general.
Yeah, I just want to ask this because, like, I know there's a famous Thai person who went to Philippines. Do you know by any chance Mario Morer?
He is so handsome. Yes, I do.
Everyone loves him. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
He
Yeah.
would be like considered like as the ambassador, like that type of from
Yeah.
that industry over there. And you know what? He's an attractive Thai guy, and if it welcomes and build connection between Thai and the Philippines, go on right
Mm.
ahead.
Yeah. We should ask him to join us sometimes.
Oh my God, that would be brilliant.
We probably just won't talk. We just look at him, yeah?
Exactly. Oh, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
in trouble.
You won't, don't worry. You're with me. So next question is, have you been to Philippines?
See, surprisingly, I have not, and I was actually planning to go sometime around this summer, but then due to the current global situation at the moment, no one can really travel. Like my best friend is from the Philippines. I've been friend with him for 12 to 13 years now, and
Oh.
I was so looking forward to actually travel and visit him and his family because their family are like my family as well. And some like he lives in Manila, so we could actually like just start off from the capital and then drop
Yeah,
by to different islands, because what I find fascinating about the Philippines is that different islands have its own identity.
true.
So therefore, when you go to different places, it's like you're going to one country, but then
Hmm.
you're getting so many variety of different culture, different food, like different island with different adobo for sure.
Oh my God. Have you tried adobo?
Absolutely, like because I used to live in the Middle East, and as I mentioned, my best friend for about 12 to 13 years now is from the Philippines. So I would go to his house and try some food,
Hmm.
and then or he would come to my house to try some Thai food. There's actually one thing that I'm not sure if you're familiar. They call it sweet ham. So
Mm.
it's practically like fried ham, but it's not. It's actually, you know how ham usually are salty here,
Yeah,
but in the
very
Philippines you find some way to have
sweet.
sweet ham.
Yeah.
I gained so much weight because I love it so much. Like that's probably one of my also favorite food from the Philippines.
Mm. Um, is there any particular place that you want to visit in the Philippines?
I'm gonna miserably pronounce this, but Boracay,
Oh,
Boracay is an island in the Philippines.
Boracay. Yeah, Boracay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
Yeah.
near the capital anyway, so
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, you should go to Palawan as well.
Is that where you're from?
No, I'm not from there. I'm from Davao in Mindanao. There's
Yeah.
so many places. Yeah. So next is um so what do you think about Philippines in general?
In general, like
Mm.
honestly, in Southeast Asia, I feel like when it comes to people, Thailand
Mm-hmm.
and Philippines probably have one of the strongest connection because a lot of my friends are from the Philippines in general because you know we have a certain understanding of life that are quite
Mm-hmm.
similar. Our value and our principle are very similar, and we like to live life in a way where it's
Yeah.
full of happiness, like to laugh and have a good time, and
Yes.
that's the way Thai people are and the Philippine people are, and we're very well connected. And overall, yes, I love you guys. To put it in short, I love the people from the Philippines.
I think, and also both Thai and Filipino are very family oriented
Absolutely.
people. Yeah. So next is, what do you think about us, the Filipino people?
Overall, fantastic. As
You've
I
been
said,
with
like,
too many of us.
well, I don't mind that because the more the more people there, the better the party, and you know what? If there's more Filipino people there, it's more fun.
Mm. So, what do you think about Filipino people having interest in the Thai culture?
I think it is absolutely fantastic because that just shows the strength and the connection between the two culture and the two people. So like
Mm-hmm.
Thai people, as you know, Mario travel over there as like an ambassador and stuff like that, trying to connect Thailand to the Philippines. The Philippines want to
Yeah.
connect back to Thailand, which is fantastic because when you talk about two different countries, you don't just want to talk about the economics or the
Mm.
finance or the markets or security reason. You want to also emphasize that there are people involved, and I think
Mm-hmm.
both Thai and Filipinos have a lot to offer to each other, and stronger collaboration between two people that share same values, same principle, and same approach to life. I think it would be a fantastic a love story. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you think the Thai people would be really interested with learning the Filipino culture, how Filipino is interested in the Thai culture?
I do because there's as I mentioned, there's such a variety of different interests that that Philippines can offer to Thai people that we don't have in Thailand, because there's
Mm-hmm.
some cultural aspect that have been influenced by history to the Philippines that Thailand I say would be interested in learning. And
Mm-hmm.
also we have such a strong we're very well known for our food, which is not surprising. We
Yes.
have some of the best food in the world.
Yes.
There's so many links, and that's why I think both Thai and Thailand and the Philippines can have very strong relationship through that aspect.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Speaking of the culture, I know language is inside culture as well. How easy the language, like how easy is it to learn for beginners like me? I
We're able to connect to and if you want to go towards incorporating Southeast Asia in general, I think
mm-hmm.
honestly go for it. I will give you my full support, and whatever you need help with,
Yeah.
count on me.
I think we are back live. I'll
Are we
double
back
check
live?
the video. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay na, Ken? Okay. So, we're gonna continue. First of all, I'm gonna apologize about the technical error that just happened there. Anyway, we're back. We're back again. We're up and running. So, the last question where we got cut off is about learning the language there. So, do you wanna repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. Like I think it would be fantastic for Filipinos to learn about Thai and Thai people learning about the language in the Philippines and also the different dialects because I know different regions
Yeah.
have different dialects as well. But Thai language, it's fair. It's as I mentioned earlier, it depends on the person, and you'll find learning anything new is going to be a struggle in some form. But at the end of the day, it is um, a good language to learn because
Mm-hmm.
everything you read, you pronounce, and it's not like in certain language where there's
Yeah.
like a H there, but then you don't say the H, and I'm just like, why do you put it there? So I think it would be great for people to learn different language, which would bring the Filipinos and Thai even closer within the
Yeah.
ASEAN community as well.
Is there as well different dialects in Thailand or?
Yeah, so different. Well, see, up north in near Chiang Mai, there would be more influenced by their neighbors up there. Like in northeast where I come from, we would also call it Isan, or
Mhm.
some people would say, oh, they're speaking Laos. So it's different dialect. It sounds different. Um, they can understand each other a bit, but the
Mhm.
main core language would be Thai, the central
Mhm.
Thailand language that the whole nation would learn.
Mhm. Because like in the Philippines, the dialects in different places, some other places won't understand you at all, not unless you speak the proper Filipino language, Tagalog. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um. Okay. Next is how do you actually say hello, or how do you actually introduce yourself in Thai?
So it depends because there's a huge cultural aspect that you also need to learn because like in the Philippines it's very respectful the way people communicate, especially
Mm-hmm.
not just as friends but with people that are older, or you need to understand there's a different way of communicating with younger people around your age and people that are older. So usually if I speak with someone older I would say "Sawati Kap," or if I'm speaking with my friend I would say "Sawati," or "Sabadi mai."
Mm-hmm.
That's saying how are you. To introduce yourself, you would say "Sawati Kap, Om Suwa Zach," and then say
Mm-hmm.
anyone could say how are you and get in the conversation. But at the core of greeting, at the core of communication, there need to be a certain aspect of respect with
Mm-hmm.
among people, so that
Yeah.
you don't really. I don't know. I have a sense of feeling that in Asia we have a different way of communicating, and there's also a huge respect boundary that people should also really understand.
Yeah, that's true. Like even in the Philippines, there's a proper way of saying how are you to older people and
Yeah,
then to your same age friends.
I
Yeah.
believe one of them is that you would get the hand of the older people and like place it on their forehead. I've
Yes.
seen that many
Yeah.
times, and which in Thailand you would say hello like this way, putting two hands together to greet people, or showing a sign of respect.
Yeah. So next is it okay to ask people your age? Like let's say especially when you go in a bar and then you met someone and then all of a sudden you ask for their age. Is that okay?
I think well, it's very different. We're very different from Western culture because
Yeah.
Western country you don't ask female their age whatsoever. But
Yeah.
in Asia, in Thailand especially, it's important that you know how old they are because of the way you can actually communicate with them. So as I mentioned, the I can't communicate the same way that I'm communicating with my friends to my older relatives because they're older and you need to give that more respect to the older generation.
Yeah, that's true. Because like I think other culture as well, they get offended when you ask them their age.
I don't get it. you know,
The same, I don't get it.
we're all getting old. It's just like
That's true. Next one is there a place in Thailand? I know Thailand is big. That would you highly recommend?
there's various places. This is what like like as I mentioned, different islands in the Philippines have their own identity, different region in Thailand likewise. So it's actually fantastic because it depends on what you're looking for. So if you want more like city based, but then still have a lot of nature, have a lot of more sense of calm, Chiang
Mm-hmm.
Mai would be a beautiful place to visit. And I was up there last summer, going
Mm-hmm.
up in the mountains, taking the elephants to the river, giving them baths, and feeding them. So it's that type of environment, and you could actually see that the different places that you go, the cuisine is actually slightly different. Like Thailand
Mm-hmm.
will always be known for our red chili, how spicy
Yes.
and our food is and everything. But as you go to different places, there's different adjustment to the geographic region.
Mm-hmm.
But then another place, if you're more of like going to the beach place, Phuket, Krabi have beautiful beaches and great seafood because they're very near the coast, so very fresh seafood over there.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go to Thailand. My cousin is, I mean, like, she was teaching English in Thailand for 2 to 3 years, and she loves it so much. I said, like, I'm gonna go there one day,
Yeah,
maybe next
we'll,
year.
we'll plan a trip together.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah, instead
Let's
of
go for
Zoom,
let's go for an Asian tour.
absolutely. Instead of a Zoom call, it could just be a blog, like literally us traveling.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for people to make what do you call it? Have them see me do silly things. Like I'm gonna
Oh
make
yeah.
a mistake along
Oh
the way.
yes. Oh
Good
yes.
for the
I
laugh.
know that. So next question is this thing is a bit more serious on the serious side. So um how how open how open are the Thai people with the LGBT community?
It depends on the region, like, because some places it will be more conservative than the most, but like places
Mm-hmm.
like Bangkok, very
Mm-hmm.
open. In general, society-wise, overall, people don't find that as an issue. But
Mm-hmm.
does Thailand have a long way to go when it coming to protecting the human right for LGBT community? Absolutely, they have long way down the road to do that, and it is very important for any government to not just look after um, their people, but also emphasize that human rights should always be a priority on the top list of every
Yes.
aspect of their decision. And I believe that in Thailand, like here in Ireland, we passed the marriage referendum.
Yes.
They're moving forward, but at the end of the day, passing law is important, but ensuring that people have been educated and an understanding of our community is very important because
Mm-hmm.
law can be passed, but mindset is where we need to be.
Yeah.
Attitude toward the LGBT community need to improve. So
Mm-hmm.
like Thailand will always be very welcoming to the LGBT community. It is, to be honest, the Philippines beat us. You're actually ranked number one in, as I say, I'm going to mispronounce this, is the city that is the island I want to go to, Boracay.
uh,
Um, it's actually the top place in Southeast Asia, no, in Asia actually, for
mm-hmm.
LGBT people to go to. Second one would be Taipei, Taiwan.
Oh
Then
yes.
Bangkok, Thailand came in third, but you know what? I'll let you win for this one.
But to be honest with you, Philippines is not so open as well with the LGBT. I mean, lots of the younger ones are very open with the LGBT, but the older people is still on the vintage mindset that there's only like two genders. That's it. Yeah.
it's very tough because there have been a lot of different aspects that influences people in the past, and
Mm-hmm.
like say religion have huge influence in the way people think,
Yeah.
and now we're getting an academic approach to science and to knowledge that way, that this is how things can be proven. So
Yeah.
by as we progress as not just people but as a global community, we're educating ourselves more, we're having further understanding and knowledge within various vast topics and discussions. So do I believe that Southeast Asia in general are moving direction? In some instant it does shows, but in some places it needs to really get their act together,
Yeah.
because this is not just a topic of conversation, this is not just
Mm-hmm.
a discussion, these are people who should be living with their dignity and integrity intact, and no one should be bullied or harassed or put in an environment where they feel threatened in any way, because that would be
Mm-hmm.
unacceptable.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes. So, there, you know that the Zoom have 40 minutes time limit. So, give me a sec there.
So
Scan.
I'll try to keep my
Yeah.
answer for.
That's okay. How many minutes left there? So we can just log back in. Okay. I'll end this one and then just go back in. Is that okay, guys?
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very good siya magsalita, no? Ayun. Ah, kaya. Madami, madami pa tayong question dito. Mhm. Sige lang. Nandyan na siya.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeah. So just give us the cue. There you go. So, okay, the last part that we talked about was how open the Thai people is with LGBT. So, next one is how friendly Thai people are. I know you are friendly, very friendly.
Overall, like we are known as the land of smiles. That's one of the key point that on the global scale that we're known for, and I think through our culture and our understanding of life and sense of community that we have, I believe that Thai people are very, very welcoming.
Mhm.
But it's like any part of the world. When you travel and stuff like that, don't be naive about anything when you engage with people in general, because when people are being too nice, then you need to question that. But but I'm not saying that anything bad about Thai people. I'm just saying that when you're traveling in general in different any part of the world, you just need to have that understanding that don't try, because when you go to different part of the world, people will try to scam you. But and this is on a general basis. But when people do come to Thailand, overall Thai people are very welcoming. They are very supportive, and if you ask any questions and stuff like that, and they can if they can communicate with you, they're gladly there to help because it's that very nice and friendly environment under the heat of the sun. But other than that, other than that, other it's a very welcoming country, and the people are very welcoming in general.
Mm. Yeah, I know that already. It's like I can't even remember how we started talking.
I don't either. I think, well, see, we, no, no, I think I do know because both of us are heavily involved in societies. And
Yeah.
we both, like, in society, you have so many people in there that working and running and trying to promote different interests. Like, my one was
Hmm.
civic matters and then also social entrepreneurship and the
Hmm.
general national leadership as well. That's where my position was. And in your case, you stand out easily because you are the chairperson. You help lead a society. So when you're in a position like yourself, like people like that get noticed, especially because we're
Mm.
always so busy and we're running everywhere. And but we're like, we know that person. She works hard as well. So at that point, and then we start picking up a lot of conversation and I personally, when I heard about Korean society or K-pop and everything that you're doing, and I just went, this is very interesting. So I dropped by and I just got to know.
Yeah.
I still can't dance. I can't move at all. But other than that, I do love like nights where, when you host a making, what do you call it, like sushi night and stuff like that,
Oh
which
yes, yeah,
which brings food always bring people together you know.
yes.
So, and I also learned that I can't make sushi or kimbap or something. Is that what they
Kimbap,
call
yeah,
it?
kimbap.
Kimbap? I can't make that as well. I can eat it, but that's not a problem. But,
No.
but making it, I'm still struggling a little bit. So I think that's where it comes from, where we share a strong sense of wanting to contribute to the community in our college, but most
Hmm.
importantly, express and represent our community from our respective country, especially in
Yes.
Southeast Asia. Like it's absolutely fantastic because when I left my role as the executive rep
Hmm.
for the society, the level of Asian community engagement is absolutely fantastic and is
Yeah.
huge. And hopefully, the next person that take up my role carry that on because we actually have the highest number of society group in college throughout its history at the moment. So, which is fantastic.
Really?
More
That's
culture, more
cool.
opportunity. Let's get it done.
Yeah, but still, we still don't get a Korean person in college.
Yeah, see, yeah. I don't. I see the within our college, we are trying to expand more to Asia. We are trying to
Mm,
welcome more Asian students, and I think it's just going to take time. Once we do become a university, I think that's when it's really
yeah.
going to start kicking off because
Mm,
any third level education with a university the word university attached to it attracts a lot of people overall.
yes. I'm looking forward to it, but this year I told myself I'm gonna have a break from society. It's final year. I need to focus.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, there are many people that I will say they can keep going. I think in your case, you need to take a break because
Oh,
you started a society that wasn't even there, and now it's one of the most well-known society in college. So, applaud to you, and I think you do deserve a break. You deserve a
mm,
trip around the world and just relax a little bit. But
yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, next one is we don't really. I know it's not in our culture to compare people, but what's the big difference between the Thai people and the Filipino people? Like you know me, you, the
yeah,
others.
as I say, it is very difficult for us to compare people to each other because we see people as people and we just
Mm,
want to live a positive life and contribute positively to our community and we don't try to differentiate anyone
mm,
regardless of who they are. But
yes.
if you really want to dive in, say the cultural impact that would have,
Mm-hmm.
like Thailand is heavily Buddhist, but then
Mm,
in the Philippines is heavily Christianity. So I
yes.
think that it's that type. There's a sense that there will be a different site type of ideology, but then when it comes to the value and the principle, it's very well connected between the two
Mm,
countries. So
yes, the same.
it's very hard. Like I honestly, when I was looking through some of the questions that's possibly will come up, I was just like, that is actually a very difficult question
Yeah.
because in as I say, in our culture, we try not to compare each other and stuff like that. We try to be there as more of a community base. So I
Mm.
literally, I'm not gonna lie, I went up online and I started researching, and I was just like, there's really not even much there. Like, they're trying to compare food as well, but it's like, yes, Thai food might be more spicy, but both
Yes.
food are still very, very good. So,
Yes.
it's just like it's two kind of good.
Yeah. So, speaking of food, we're gonna go on to food now.
Oh,
What is what Thai food would you highly recommend?
all of it.
All of it.
All of it. So
All of it.
I love, there's a lot of the traditional one where you have like tom yum or the pad thai, but I would advise people, if you really want to have an understanding of people and the places that you're going to, explore their local food. Explore the different, like if I was going to the Philippines, I'm going to the different part of the Philippines, I would say, I'm not just gonna try the adobo in this island. I'm gonna try the adobo in that island as well. So it's it's um it's different part of the places that you go to. You would have to actually really experience yourself, because my
Mm,
taste palette might be different from yours. But I would highly recommend anything that's there, because it's then an opportunity for you to also discover who you are. Because I might say
yes.
I recommend this, and I'm telling you that this is good and this is good, but this is what I experienced. But if you ever had the chance to go to Thailand or try some Thai food near where you live, you know go it through from your own perspective and have that
Mm,
understanding, because it's also not just a discovery of the Thai cuisine, but a discovery of yourself and what your interest and what your taste is.
that's good. Oh, yeah, it's the same in the Philippines as well. um, Next one is, if I go to Thailand for a holiday, let's say just estimatedly a week, how expensive would it be?
If you're wanting to go to a four-star hotel, including um, flights and everything like
Mm,
that, 500 euro would actually do it. Uh,
really?
because
Five?
yeah, honestly, it's also you need to look into what, first of all, look at what your interests are, because I'm
Mm,
saying that there are hotels that are absolutely fabulous, they're beautiful, and they're very, very well kept, and some of them are ranging from 37 to 69 euro a night. So
oh,
5 days for, my math might be a bit wrong, but 5 days, five multiplied by 300, and no, five multiplied by okay, you know what, we're not going to do math. What am I doing? But you know what I mean, like 30, if you find a nice hotel, 37 euro a night, 5 nights there, it will
it's
cost less than 200 euro,
yeah.
and you could get very cheap flight going there as well. Some of them could be even up to, like, it would be like some of the cheap flight like here, where it's going to, from one country to the next, could cost about 20 euro, 20, 30, or 40
Hmm.
euro. But overall, the food is not expensive. Everything is really not expensive over there. And the only thing that you will find crazy expensive, if you travel from like where we are now in Ireland,
Yes,
coming
yeah,
from Ireland to Thailand, that can be very
yeah.
expensive. But from the Philippines to Thailand, I don't think it's expensive, and
Mm,
financially you can plan your finance very well going forward.
mm,
So it's very manageable.
mm. So, okay. So many, I can see many people now in the chat box saying they want to go to Thailand. Yeah, I want to go to Thailand too. Let's all go to Thailand. So, yeah. So, that's all the question I prepared for you. So, we're going to go on the live chat question. I remember some question in the previous one. So, there was a serious question that been asked. I don't know how updated you are with with Thailand right now, but how is Thailand coping with COVID-19 right now?
At the moment, I think it's gonna, like many countries, it's gonna take time.
Mm-hmm.
You could see a lot of um, different world leaders. They're taking different approaches and different measures to take care of their citizens. I think, honestly, at the moment, I am gonna be honest, I'm not entirely sure as to how progress they are, because last time I checked, they're having a huge issue. because if we have a lot of fresh markets and stuff like that as well that need to really be reviewed by the government regarding hygiene and safety for the people.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just a regional aspect, it's a national aspect that they have to look into. And I believe like the Thai people are very strong, so they will progress in a positive direction, and I believe that they will work incredibly hard together to as a community to move forward. Like any country, even in the most developed country, they will have setbacks. So even as we progress in any country that we're in, we always need to be aware that this pandemic is not going to go anytime soon. We need to take care of our community, and that's also important to take care of ourselves and our family. And we do on a global content. I would say every country need to review where they stand and approach it through a more sustainable approach, a more hygienic approach, and also as I always emphasize, when you make a political decision, you need to understand, you need to be able to bring it back to the people.
Yes.
Because put politics aside, put the finance aside, what is best for your people? So that would be my answer to that. I'm not sure if it really explained the progress, but trying to put some sense into it on a general basis.
Because in the Philippines, while watching the news, I think Philippines is having a hard time as well dealing with the pandemic. I'm gonna ask this question personally because I know you are the vice president of education in our college. So the scenario in the Philippines, what's happening is they're putting all educational system on online class, and Philippines is well known for having the very slow internet. So what is the best way to what do you think is the best thing to do, knowing that the government knows about it and they're still pushing the online classes? What can you say about it?
It's a very complex situation that we're going into regarding a third level education, because we need to also review what is best for our students, but then also what is best for their degree that they're going to, because as I always mention, different degree will have different requirements, different facilities, and also an environment of education. Some places, like thankfully in Ireland, our overall the general internet connection, the broadband connection, we are very good. So unless you're very into the countryside, that's where you will struggle a little bit. But it's honestly, even in our college, we're still looking into it, we're still investigating into it, and we're doing research. We're trying to understand what is everyone else is doing and what type of climate they're in, because at the end of the day, we want to do what is best for our students. We want to ensure they get an opportunity to grow on a foundation that will be given in a way that they don't just succeed in a complex world, but thrive in a complex world. And trying to do that is trying to foster an environment where people can grow to their full potential. But then with all this discussion as to how we can actually approach it, it is very complex, and we have to take it moments by moments and trying to tackle it each. Because just imagine if we decided to open up college again. Just hypothetically speaking, we open up college, everyone come back, and then a second wave hit. That will put our students and also the staff that work there and the overall community in a very, very dangerous position. So currently in our position, we're still reviewing, we're still trying to understand how to approach this in the best way possible, but then still stick with our integrity, still stick with the level of education we provide and the level of opportunity we offer to our students.
Yeah, that's true. So we go on not so serious side question right now. Someone asked me, why are Thai foods very spicy?
I think it's like our personality. We can be very spicy as well. So it's not just about the chili that they put in. We have tremendous amount of different herbs, different spices, and we are heavily influenced by our neighbors when it comes to trades in the past. So we didn't just get spices from our community. We got it as far as from in having spices from India being coming to Thailand and stuff. So I think it's due to its geographic location and with its history, that's why it's like a melting pot of different flavors and spices that just piled up and come together. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
true.
what I see.
Even in the Philippines, you'll see some spices that doesn't really belong in Philippines because we are influenced. But I think mostly Philippines is influenced by Spanish people.
Yeah.
I think I'm not too sure. I forgot what's my Philippine history already.
But the good thing is that we know how to work with our spices very well, so that's why
Oh
our
yes,
food is very well known. So
yes.
regardless of how spicy it could be overall, we know what to do with when it comes to food.
Next one is what is the famous tourist spots in Thailand?
um,
Where? Yeah.
for me personally, I'm a type of person that love nature a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
you will always hear about Bangkok.
Mm.
You will always hear about Chiang Mai, which is actually my favorite place to visit. But then there's also like Ayutthaya. There's also the more southern island region of Phuket, Pattaya, Krabi, and all the different islands as well that we did offer. And what the government actually did was some of the places was actually closed for a while to let the
Mm.
nature take its course and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
a lot of different places regarding the beach and the hygiene, and then also the the water environment of all these locations have improved dramatically. So it really depends on what you like, because Thailand will actually, due to its the size and the different influence that they have, you can actually go to different part that actually cater to what your interest is. I will always love to go to Chiang Mai because I love wildlife. I love, the weather there is beautiful, the culture there is wonderful, and it's a great mix of different people. So
Yeah. But for me, and if I go to a foreign country or other country for tourists, I always what's this? I always avoid those heavily tourist places because there's
yeah,
so many people. You can't enjoy the view. You're just
yeah,
enjoying them people running around like crazy dogs.
absolutely. Like, say, like I love Bangkok. I can be there for 2 3 days, but then I'm also very I like to be in nature, so that's why I like to go to Chiang Mai. And I'm also from like northeastern Thailand, so that's more countryside. So when I go into Bangkok, it's just like wow, it's very crowded. People are just bumping into each other and stuff like that. But what's nice there is beside the food and everything, the different location you could travel. It's also a wonderful shopping place as well.
Okay, we're gonna go for more serious questions now. So, what are the initiatives in education, especially in today's context, the pandemic?
Would that be in regarding to how we can improve education,
Mm,
or is it
yeah.
in regarding to inclusion and diversities? Because when we talk about education, it's not just about picking up a book and reading and stuff like that. Because
Mm,
in especially in our college, it's also about connecting to industry. It's about delivering first class content on a global basis as well. So at the moment there, as we progress with technology, especially
mm,
even with, let's say, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, we are currently progressing into the future that where we are actually looking into our curriculum and always providing the utmost standard on a global content. But then on an inclusion and diversity aspect, we are approaching it where we want to make sure that it's more inclusive, where you see yourself where in in our college students have a lot of say as to what they want, because at the end of the day this is their future as well, so the student voice is very important. So it's at the moment it's progressing, but it's not just progressing on the traditional academic aspect, but also inclusion and diversity, and then also the awareness of the emerging markets and the changing of the world regarding economies, artificial intelligence, science, and so forth.
mm. So there's a lot of questions. I know you're prepared for this.
Oh boy.
So, I told you that online classes was approved in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And in the Philippines, it is not an innovation anymore that online connectivity already produce good output. So, do you think in this time of pandemic, the online connectivity would be effective as it was before? Because I know many colleges using online
Yeah,
classes before, and it's good.
it's see online online effective, just like being in class is effective, but it
Mm-hmm.
is how you approach it and how you manage it. Because as I mentioned, different degrees, different studies will have different requirements. So on a general basis, it can possibly have a positive outcome if it's managed well and also cater to the needs of what the student are studying. Because
Yeah.
you can't just pick up a research document and say, due to this study, we can deliver it online, but can you really? Does it actually serve your students? Does you don't? It's doing the right thing doesn't mean doing what everyone else is doing. It's about catering to the needs of your student and their studies. So, and it's very complex because you don't necessarily. It's very hard to get student back in class because of health and safety concern. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, you also really need to find a way to deliver your course effectively. Because I know some courses you can definitely deliver it online, whether it's to live communication like this or creating video contents for students to study, and then they could communicate via emails with
Mm-hmm.
their lecturers. So there's very, very different approach, but you really need to understand that it depends on what those studies and what those requirements are for the student to ensure they succeed, especially in this time.
Yeah,
If
that's
we weren't in a pandemic, it would be a different approach for sure.
yeah, that's true. Next one is there any restriction on filming in public in Thailand? Like,
It
flying a drone somewhere?
it depends on the location because a lot of people travel to Thailand. They could freely, it's like any other country. If they say don't take pictures of video or recording there, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I don't see any issue. I never heard of a law that would restrict that because you see so many people going to Thailand and they are doing vlogs. They're traveling,
Yes.
they're doing so many of these kind of video which present the country on such a positive light, and I wouldn't see any issue with that.
Yeah.
I think the Thai people will definitely want more good publicity of the country for sure.
Oh, okay. Because like I know in Ireland you need permit to fly a drone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's very different country, different law, but I would say if you're going to do something that involve collecting data or
Mm.
collecting images and stuff, look into the country legal aspect and what they're advised, because in Ireland there's a huge emphasis on GDPR. There's a
Yes.
huge, like, you can't just record people. You need their permission if that video is in their contents.
Mm.
Plus, like, for
Sure.
me, I don't care. Like, I look good all the time, so I'm ready to be in front of the camera.
Next one is nowadays Thailand is being known for the boy love series or male to male series.
Yeah.
What do you think Thailand can offer more to be well known in other countries if there's no boy love series stuff? I know trans surgeries is already known in
Mhm.
your country, so he was apologizing for the insensitive question.
Don't worry at all. As I said, I welcome all question, and even if you don't think I'm doing a good job here, I welcome criticism. But in Thailand, we're also becoming known for our technologies in regarding to manufacturing as well. We're also well known for the export of our agricultural goods. Or even the food that we actually provide live feed for animals and stuff like that as well. And this is about exporting to different countries. In other that, we are also heavily well known for our tourism, but that requires attracting people to come into the countries.
Mm.
But regarding the export aspect, as I mentioned, it depends on which industry that you're talking about. Agriculturally, we have huge agricultural export. We're very well known for our jasmine rice. I think everyone knows
Mm.
about our jasmine rice. We're well known for our increase in technology engagement, or whether it's manufacturing as well, and also moving toward the energy sector in a more sustainable way, and I think that's what a lot of countries are doing as well, moving their nation into a more sustainable and environmental approach as well.
Mhm. Is English tutoring a high demand in Thailand? I feel like it is.
I think yeah, definitely like at the moment, without a doubt, they do require a lot of English teacher because you would have Thai as the main language, and then English would be English and Mandarin is actually competing against each other right now.
Really?
Mandarin. Yeah, in Thailand, where if you actually go to the main airport in Thailand now, you got Thai, English, and Mandarin because we do have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Chinese visitor, and the the understanding of English is very, very important. The ability to communicate in English is very important because the language of business, the language of economics, the language of international trades is predominantly English. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're getting into the business aspect or in any industry is predominantly English. So I would believe
Mm-hmm.
it does. That's why it have a high demand. Same thing with a high demand in a lot of English speaking teachers in the Middle East as well. They're always trying to recruit Irish students who graduate already to go and teach in places like Abu Dhabi or Dubai because of the level of education, but then also the ability to communicate in English as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a tackle ad for Thai English speakers. I might go to Thai and teach English.
Go
Why
for it.
not?
Go for it. Yeah,
Why not?
it's a fun job, and then also at the same time you feel like you're on vacation all the time, so it's not too
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, that's true. That's true. What? There's one funny question I've read in this because I he was asking why are the Thai commercials weird? I haven't seen any Thai commercials.
uh, no, definitely some commercial can be like, what's going on? But I think that comes down to the sense of humor and the
Mm,
understanding behind their sense of humor, because different country will have different sense of humor and stuff like that. Like, say both in Thailand and the Philippines, laughing and having good time is an aspect there that actually really stand out compared to different countries. But
mhm.
then it's about their understanding what's funny. So I think that's why it's that approach where some commercial can seem weird, but then in Thailand it's just like, this is great fun. Like, uh,
Yeah, I think it depends really on the who's watching and how they understand the funny side of the commercial. Yes, that's
absolutely.
very true.
Some commercial, I get it. Where some commercial, like, I could sit back and I could burst out laughing because it's just too hilarious. And some commercial, I'm just like, what are they selling again? but
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
but I think we find that whole marketing aspect in every single country. So when you
Mm.
look, yeah, even outside Thailand, but even in say in our some of the commercial, I don't really understand until the very end where they say this is what we're talking about. I'm like, okay.
Mm. I just want to ask, last question, guys. This is the last question now. This is about religion, and he was apologizing first before because it might be really sensitive for you. Um, are you a Buddhist?
Well, first of all, I would like to say nothing is sensitive to me. My
Oh.
feelings don't get hurt that easily whatsoever. Yes, I'm a Buddhist. Um, not as good as I should be a Buddhist, but like it's hard to practice. It's very hard to practice when you don't live in your country where there's not so
Yeah.
much monastery or temples and stuff like that that you can worship. But
Mhm.
yes, I am a Buddhist. My great grandfather actually became a monk before.
Oh.
So so we were a lot of us see a lot of Thai male when you reach a certain age, you can dedicate your whole life to becoming a monk, or
Mhm.
you could do it for a couple of weeks and stuff like that. It's a great way to uh, find yourself, give yourself a little bit of a breather from the chaotic reality of the
Right.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, he was just asking, is Buddha a real person?
Buddha is a real person. See, the thing is that we don't our understanding the understanding of Buddhism is that Buddha is a real person, you
Mm.
know, he's like we consider him like a great teacher. That
Okay.
is that type of approach. He's a great teacher that should be respected and should be followed. So it's like giving. He was I could probably get this wrong, but from what I understand is that he was from a wealthy background, but then he
Mm.
gave all the wealth and the trapping of wealth and stuff like that, and came and lived and understanding the struggle of the life of that time, and that's how that really started formulating. And that it's, you know, it's very interesting how religion overall formulate, but in Buddhism he's like a great teacher. Well, he is a great
Mm.
teacher. Like, you know.
Yeah. So I think that's all the online question we got. So we're gonna end this live. But before we go, I just want to say thank you very much for joining me today and telling us all about Thailand. Filipinos are very open with all other culture, and I know Thai as well is very open to learn more about Philippines. So I'm really, really thankful for you to go here live. Do you want to say anything to our viewers?
Sure, no problem. Like, first of all, if your viewer ever wants me back here and keep me talking and, you know, having a good laugh like that, give me a shout. I'll be back anytime. As I told yourself that, you know, if you ever want me to do something like this, I will always make time for you. And overall, you know, we live in a very difficult time. I would like every one of your viewers to know, you know, stay positive, stay engaging, be kind to one another, and support your community, because we can we can overcome any obstacle if we work together. And
Mhm.
other than that, I hope you have a fantastic, if you're in anywhere in Asia, a fantastic evening. If you're in Ireland, enjoy your afternoon.
Yes, yeah. So thank you very much, Zach, for this live online sharing, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Well, we need to
Yeah,
go out for another night out.
our night out. Yeah. So can we go stop the live now? And yeah. So thank you very much, Zach.
Oh, no.